Hi everyone, Danielle here. Today we're going to be recreating this art journal page. I'm just going to put it on canvas just to kind of show you my process and how I got it done. I'm going to be using my collage sheets I created with Decoupage Queen. I'm going to have links down below so you can get your hands on some so you can make some pages as well. We're going to use this butterfly and a few other things we can kind of fit onto the page. It's not going to be exactly the same, but I just want to give you an idea of how I put it together. For paint, I'm just using Mars Black and Titanium White. I do use a little bit of matte medium, but that's optional. You can just use water. I will have the traceable or the outline for this face over in my shop. So if you want to print it off and trace it or kind of get inspiration from it, you can head over there and print it off. It's always nice to do a portrait in black and white. You can focus on depth and shadows and not so much skin tone. I always like to have some matte medium as well. I like to use that to thin out my layers. You don't need this, you can always just use water. I'm going to start off with a number 2 flat brush and we're going to mix a dark gray color. I don't want to go fully black yet. I want to lead up to that shadow. We're going to use this color to kind of establish all of our shadows, like the eyebrows, around the eyes, and a lot of the features that could get lost as we're painting. After I put all those lines in, now I'm ready to move on to a larger brush. This is a number 8 filbert, and I'm just going to mix a light to medium gray. And then I'm going to add that to fill in some of my features and around the darker areas of the face itself. I'm not necessarily using one photo for reference. When I drew her, I kind of drew her out of my imagination. So if you have a black and white photo you really like, you can go ahead and use that as your reference. So now I'm gonna grab my lightest gray color. I'm just going to mix less black in, and I'm gonna add that into where the light would be hitting her face. So along the cheeks and forehead, the chin, and the neck. Now we can go ahead and add in her hair. I am going to just make it pretty dark. You can gradually add in darker tones, or you can make it dark and add lighter tones. That's what I love about painting. You really can't mess it up, especially with acrylics. You can always let it dry and adjust. I love all of this negative space we have over here, so I'm going to add some blue. This is light blue permanent, and it's just going to be a little hint of that throughout the background. The brush we're going to use is a number 24 shader brush. I highly recommend this brush, especially if you like to cover large areas. The only thing I have to say is that the paint does build up kind of right here at the base of the bristles, so just be careful when you're washing it out. Make sure you really get down in there and get some soap so your brushes don't deteriorate over time or they don't get stiff on you. Now that those layers are kind of dry, we can start building. I'm going to use a smaller number 2 round, and I'm just going to go in here and start darkening up a whole bunch of different areas. Since I have my base down, I really just start playing with going back and forth from the lighter gray to the darker gray and seeing what I like. I think I want to go darker with some of my features, so I'm grabbing my small brush and I'm going to add some details kind of here and there. If you feel like you're fighting with your grays or your lights or your darks or anything with acrylic paint, you probably need to just let your layers dry. I have like 5 fans in my room, so I sit mine in front of the fan, or you can let it heat dry. I typically don't like to heat set my acrylics, but if you are kind of in a hurry, you don't have a lot of time, that's an option for you. My style is pretty painterly. I love seeing brushstrokes and texture. I do like seeing some smoothness a little bit here and there. It helps the eye to rest, so I go back and forth from smaller brushes to bigger brushes to kind of achieve that. Go around your painting and see if there's anything that needs to be darkened or lightened. I went ahead and darkened up her eyebrows, and I'm going to do the same to her hair. I'm just going to hold her up and just see if anything is kind of warped or distorted. That's a good exercise to do just to make sure everything is looking okay. Her face is pretty smooth, but I want more texture. I want more movement. So I'm adding this lighter gray in with my paintbrush, and I'm just kind of making scribbles and marks all over the face. And later I can always just smooth out the parts that I want to be smooth. That's one of the ways that I like to add texture to the face without really disrupting the features too much. I spend time on each feature individually so that they can kind of stand on its own and kind of bring out the face as a whole. But I do take extra time on the eyes because for me, that's a focal point and it's something that the viewer likes to look at. It's something I like to look at in my own work. So I really like to take time on the eyes. And then I can go back in with some lighter paint and I can whiten up some of those areas that I added texture to before. I'm going to just add a little bit of blue paint to my background and just add some more texture back there too. I started with my shader brush and then I moved to a bristle brush. This is a really old one, and that's just to get some more texture back there so that it's not so flat. Once everything is dry, I can start adding my collage. This is the spring celebration sheet. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be able to fit on this canvas since my original painting was in my journal and it was a lot larger, but I'm just going to play around and see what works. If you look at my journal, I had a lot more space kind of up towards the top, and I also was able to blend it into the background, but I'm going to use pretty much the same elements that I used in the journal page. I have a collection of 6 different collage sheets over on decoupagequeen.com, so you can go ahead and head over there and check them out. I use matte medium to glue this down, and then after it's dry, I can start painting over it to kind of blend it into the background. So as far as the butterfly, I kind of painted over a few areas of it. I just painted it white in some areas just to bring out the color, and then with the piece on the side, I'm just gonna paint over it a bit too. Before I ended the session, I went ahead and did some journaling. I used a black color pencil, and I also drew an outline around the butterfly using that too. So that does it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in the next one.